You are late to the meeting. Not because of traffic, not because of a wire transfer or a call with your portfolio attorney. You are late because you stopped at a gas station to buy a $2.19 black coffee in a paper cup with a cracked lid. And you drank it in the parking lot, alone, in a 2016 Camry with 94,000 miles on it and a faded parking sticker from a community college you never attended. You bought the car cash, through an LLC nobody has ever Googled. You are wearing a gray cardigan, not cashmere, a $28 cardigan from a Target in a suburb that isn't yours, bought on a Tuesday afternoon when no one you knew would be shopping. You paid with a debit card linked to a checking account that holds exactly $4,200 at all times. Not $4,100, not $4,500, $4,200, because that's what a logistics coordinator earning $67,000 a year would have. And that's exactly who you are, to everyone watching. Your coworker thinks you can't afford the $14 lunch place on 5th. You let her think that. You split a $7.49 grain bowl with her every other Wednesday and listen to her talk about her lease renewal and nod in the right places. She is kind. She is not dangerous. But she talks, and talking is the one variable you've spent 11 years engineering out of your life completely. Here is what she doesn't know. Beneath 17 municipalities across 4 states, there are underground fiber-optic easements, strips of legal right-of-way, 12 inches wide, running silently under roads and farmland and forgotten industrial corridors. They don't photograph well. Nobody posts about them. But every time a major telecom carrier needs to route a high-capacity data line and hits a corridor they don't own, they call the entity that does. They call a Delaware LLC with a registered agent named Philip, who drives a sensible sedan and files everything in 11-point Arial. Philip doesn't know your last name. He knows a routing number. That's enough. You found easements the way most people find the things that change their lives entirely, by accident. In a break room, 7:14 in the morning, a man named Gerald sat across from you with instant coffee and a manila folder thick with county survey maps. 61 years old, brown shoes every day, 34 years in municipal land records without a single person learning anything real about him. He slid the survey map 3 inches toward you, like he'd been waiting. You looked down. A thin corridor running under a state highway, unlicensed, uncontested, sitting in public record like a door nobody had bothered to open. You asked what it meant. He said 4 words. That's an easement, hun. Then he folded his map, picked up his sandwich, and left. You spent the next 4 months in county record offices, not glamorous ones, water-stained ceilings, plastic chairs, clerks printing in pale, half-empty toner. Same navy jacket every time, your own pen, quiet questions, quieter paperwork. Your first acquisition cost $11,400, a corridor under a 2-lane road outside a town of 6,000. 18 months later, a fiber carrier needed that exact corridor. They offered $340,000 for a 30-year license. You took it. You reinvested every dollar before the wire cleared. That was the moment you understood the rule nobody teaches, the rule that sits underneath every fortune that's ever stayed intact across a generation. Visibility is a liability, not metaphorically, mathematically. The moment people know you have money, the cost of existing goes up. Family calls more, friends arrive with ideas, strangers arrive with lawsuits, the government arrives with brackets. So you made a decision, cold, deliberate, architectural. You would not become visible, not ever. You drive the Camry because a woman earning $67,000 drives a Camry. You keep the checking account at $4,200 because that's the number that creates no questions. You declined the charity gala invitation because a logistics coordinator doesn't own a gown. You live in a 2-bedroom apartment on the 4th floor of a building with a broken elevator and a landlord who fixes things slowly. The rent is $1,340 a month. You pay it on the 1st, in the name of a trust registered to an address in Nevada that forwards to Philip, who files it in Arial and asks no questions. Your net worth crossed $150 million on a Thursday. You were in the plumbing aisle of a hardware store holding a $6.99 wax ring because your toilet had been running for 3 days and you'd decided to fix it yourself. Your phone buzzed. A single notification from a portfolio dashboard behind a 14-character password you've memorized and never written down. You looked at the number, you put the phone back in your pocket, you bought the wax ring, you fixed the toilet, you made a bowl of rice and lentils from a bag that cost $3.89. You went to sleep at 10:15. Not because you forgot the number, because the number was never the point. The point is what you built underneath. Easements that generate licensing revenue whether you wake up or not. Cell tower ground leases on parcels so unremarkable the towers look like an afterthought. Municipal fiber corridors quietly renewed every decade by carriers who have no idea the other end of the contract is a woman in a $28 cardigan eating a $7.49 grain bowl on a Wednesday. You're not an investor to them. You're a line item, an infrastructure cost, a routing solution. That's exactly how you designed it. Because the wealthiest position you can occupy isn't the one on the magazine cover. It's the one nobody thinks to look for. The easement under the road, the corridor nobody filed for, the door sitting open in public record that everyone walked past for 30 years. You walked through it, quietly, in a navy jacket with your own pen. And now the road runs above you, and the whole world drives on it, and nobody knows your name. That's not a flex. That's the architecture.